Good evening, pre-algebra. Mr. Lawrence here with your flipped lesson for the weekend of December 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. And this is a cake lesson. First of all, we're going to start off with what you already know. We know that if we have an equation, say like this, y equal to, say, 3x minus 2, we can make a table. Whoop, whoop. Y equal 3x minus 2. Stick y in. And then we get out an ordered pair, x, y, grouped together, as Drew likes to say. And I'm going to pick 3 values for x. As Gary Frederick wants to know, yes, I can pick any 3 values for x I want. If the instructions tell me to pick specific values, I'll listen to the instructions. But if they don't say specifically, I can pick any ones I want. So I'll tell you what, this time I am going to pick 2, 0, and I'll pick -2. All right, so I'm going to substitute in 2 for x. I'm going to get y equals 3 times 2 minus 2. Well, this is 6 minus 2. That's going to equal 4. So y is going to be 4. My point, therefore, will be 2, 4. I will plot 2, 4 on my graph. I go to the origin. I move in the x direction, 2, 1, 2. I move in the y direction, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go. There is the point, 2, 4. Ooh, I'm having fun coloring. All right, I'm going to section off my work. Now for the easy one. I'll do the easy one in red. I'm going to plug 0 in for x. So I'm going to get y equals 3 times 0 minus 2. 3 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 2 is -2. The point is 0, -2. I will go to my graph. I will move 0 in the x direction. Just did it so fast you didn't even see me. Then I'll move -2 in the y direction. 1, 2. All right. Now, I am going to extend my table just a little bit. Now I'm going to plug in -2 for x. So y is going to equal 3 times -2 minus 2. This will be -6 minus 2, and that'll become -8. So y will be -8. The point will be -2, -8. This should all be a review from your homework, what we did in class on Friday. All right, I'm going to move -2 in the x direction, 1, 2, and then -8 in the y direction, which is way down here. And I'm going to go ahead and draw my line. Let me draw a nice line here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 6, 1, 2. Look at that beautiful line. And I'm going to make it look like a line because right now it only looks like a ray. How do I know it's a ray? Because it only has an arrow on one side. I'll make it a little bit thinner and I will make it blue because it's fuzzy and blue. All right, so there it is, graphing the line. Now, I'm going to pick any 2 points on the line. In fact, I'm going to call this point A, this point B, and this point C. And I'm going to count something. That's something that we call the slope. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from A to B, and I'm going to see how many spaces I have to move up and how many spaces I have to move over. So, for example, going from A to get to B, I'm going to have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that number is 6. And then I'm going to count how many spaces I need to go over. And that would be 1, 2. That number is 2. This number here, the 6, this is called my rise number. Why? Because it measures going up and down. The 2 is called my run number. Why? Because it measures left to right as if you were running along the ground. My slope can be found by writing a fraction called the rise over the run. The rise number was 6. The run number was 2. Simplifying my fraction, I'm going to put 3 over 1. Now, I know some of you want to turn that into a plain old 3, and normally I said, yeah, let's turn it into a plain old 3. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it as a fraction. There it is. My slope is 3 over 1. Now, watch this. This is pretty cool here. let me get rid of this information. Just move it out of my way. Okay. What would have happened if I would have decided to count from point A to point C? Well, let's try and see. Let's count from point A to C. Oops. Okay, there we go. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now I will count from there. Oh, I'm sorry. I should probably state that my rise number ends up being 12, right? And my run number will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to get a 4. So my slope, if I count from A to C, is still the rise over the run. My slope is going to be 12 over 4. But if I simplify that fraction, I know that 12/4 is the same as 3 over 1. Look at that, I get the same exact slope. It doesn't matter which 2 points I use. If I would have counted down, say from point C to point B, let's do that in black. Let's count down from C to B. Here, I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I went down, so my rise is actually -6, right? Okay, and now I'm going to count my run, and I'm going to go 1, 2. But I'm going backwards, going to the left, so it's a -2. So the slope here is -6 over -2. The two negatives will cancel each other out, leaving me 6 over 2, simplifying it to 3 over 1. I get the same answer again. Real easy stuff. We're just counting the slope. I'll tell you some things that slope is useful for in class on Monday, but right now I need you to focus on how do I count the slope. Let me get you an equation, or excuse me, a couple lines here. Let me get a nice big graph. Let me lock that in place. And I'm going to graph 3 lines on here in just a moment, and I'll see if you can figure out the slope on your own. Okay, I have 4 different lines on here, and I'm going to show you how to count the slope on one of them. All right, and then I want you to see if you can do it on your own. Pause the video. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do this magenta line. The first thing I'll do is I'm going to find 2 points on the line, 2 points that I can tell are at an intersection. So it looks like there's one right there. And then, let's see here, there's one right there. Of course, some of you are saying, Mr. Lawrence, why didn't you use that one or this one? It doesn't matter as long as I can tell they're at an intersection. Okay, so now I'm going to count my rise and my run. I'll call that point A and that point B. I'm going to go down 2, so that's a -2. And I'm going to go right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4. I put the rise number on top, so the slope of the magenta line, and maybe I should write this in magenta. Let me see if I can do that. I think I can. Oh, there we go. And I guess that looks pretty close. All right, so the slope of the purplish, magenta, grape line, whatever you want to call it, is going to be -2 over +4, which will simplify to -1 over 2. So the slope is -1/2. All right, so on the blue line, the red line, and the yellow line, I want you to see if you can count the slope. Remember, first find 2 points, give them names like A and B or D and E or whatever, Fred and Barney, and then go ahead and pause, see if you can count the slope and come up with an accurate answer. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause, and when you turn it on, I'll assume that you're ready to check. If you've unpaused now, I assume that you're ready to check. I'm going to do the blue line next, and I will do it in blue. I'm going to find this point right here, and I'm going to find that point right there. They're right next to each other. They're both going through intersections. And so I will count. My rise will be, oh, I didn't name them. Let's name this one X and that one Y. I will rise 1. My rise number is 1. And then I will run 1. So the slope of the red line, oh, excuse me, the slope of the blue line, silly Mr. Lawrence, I need to do this in blue. The slope of the blue line will be 1 over 1. And again, it simplifies to 1, but I like keeping a fraction when I'm doing slope. For the red line, I'm going to find 2 points. Okay, I'll count my rise. It looks like I'm going to rise 1. Oh, I didn't name my points. Let's name this one Fred, and this one Barney. Okay, and I will rise 1, 2, 3. So my rise number is 3. Do I have to move left or right to get to Barney? No, I don't. So my slope is going to be 3 over 0. Okay, the slope is 3 over 0. Now, that should send off a warning bell for you, because you should know that you can never, ever, ever divide by 0. So we say that there is no slope for the red line, because it's telling us to do 3 divided by 0. And if you punch in 3 divided by 0 on a calculator, you will get an error message. All right, let's drop down to the yellow line. Let's drop down to the yellow line. I will find 2 points. I'll count my rise and my run. Well, let's call this point Q and this one P. And I'm going to go from P to Q. And so I'm going to rise 0. My rise number is 0. My run number 1, 2, 3. Looks like it's -3 because I went to the left. So for the yellow one, my slope is going to be rise of 0, run of -3, which you could say is just simply 0, or keep it as a fraction. 0 divided by -3 is the same as 0. All right, I'm going to stop the lesson there. We are going to get some practice with this on Monday, and we will have a video to watch over Christmas, one video. And then we'll come back from Christmas break and be ready to tackle some bigger things. Okay, Mr. Lawrence signing off. I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a good weekend.